very interesting day we have today because I not only am bringing you a DeMarcus Cousins video today, but I'm also hoping to bring you a John Wall video later on today that we've been working on in depth over the past 48 hours. So this is some really good news, man. Before we get to the content, I want to let you guys know that we're doing a huge Black Friday sale on TheFlightMike.com. All casual merchandise is going to be offered at a huge discount if you guys want to check it out until Cyber Monday's over. We're also giving away $500. All you have to do to enter is subscribe and turn on our notifications within the next week. No, seriously, that's all you have to do, and you've entered for a chance to win $500. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? This is a player that I'm always going to give you guys updates on. I don't care how washed you think DeMarcus Cousins is, but he is still a player that I will continue to root for because he's had one of the most tragic careers in NBA history. DeMarcus Cousins had a remarkably promising career when he was drafted by the Sacramento Kings in the 2010 NBA draft, and for about the first 6 to 7 seasons of his career, he was an absolute force for the Sacramento Kings. Everything was going fine until in 2017, the man got traded to the New Orleans Pelicans. Now, he would end up tearing his Achilles tendon during the 2017 to 2018 season with the New Orleans Pelicans, and honestly, he's a cautionary tale as a result of it, man. Every single time I see a player that might be a little bit too big or a little bit too out of shape, like I usually mention with Zion Williamson, I emphasize the importance of losing weight if you're a very agile big man. And unfortunately for DeMarcus Cousins, that information came a little bit too late because he would tear his Achilles, then he would return and play for the Golden State Warriors for a period of time where he didn't look like himself again, man. He would average about 16 points per game with a 48% field goal percentage and shooting 28% from three. He was seen as a pretty solid defensive player during that time, but offensively he was a little bit more of a liability with the Golden State Warriors. Eventually he would sign with the Los Angeles Lakers for the 2019 to 2020 season, but before he would even get an opportunity to play with the Los Angeles Lakers, the man would tear his ACL. Now, the Achilles and the ACL are probably the two biggest and most important ligaments slash tendons in your body if you want to be a professional athlete. And if you tear your Achilles tendon and your ACL, pretty much you've been drained of all of your athleticism at that point. Well, luckily for DeMarcus Cousins, he was able to get by on his name alone, and he would sign with the Houston Rockets during the 2020 to 2021 season and reunite with his college buddy John Wall. But unfortunately, he did not look good at all when he was with the Houston Rockets. Granted, the Houston Rockets did have Christian Wood and they wanted to see what they had in him, which turned out they had a really solid player on their hands, by the way. But in addition to that, DeMarcus Cousins shot 38% from the field after playing 20 minutes per game. He just looked absolutely washed at this point. He shot 34% from three, but he averaged 9.6 points per game, had 7.6 rebounds per game, but was an absolute shell of his former self. I mean, he was a gigantic offensive liability. He was still a solid defender, but for the most part, he wasn't the player that he once was. But luckily for him, he would get released, then he would sign with the Los Angeles Clippers, and he did show some more promise during his time with the Los Angeles Clippers. The man only would play about 12.9 minutes per game, but he would convert 54% of his field goals for 8 points per game. But at this point, he kind of came in during garbage time, but he had moments where he would turn the clock back during the Los Angeles Clippers playoff run. Well, we just got some breaking news, and it's actually a really nice update, man. This puts a huge smile on my face from my man Adrian Wojnarowski, and this is what it is. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, free agent center DeMarcus Cousins plans to sign a 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks, sources tell ESPN. The Bucks kept an open roster spot, needed size, and will bring DeMarcus Cousins into a strong culture on a non-guaranteed deal. Cousins played well for the Clippers in significant stretches a season ago and stayed in shape, awaiting an opportunity. Now DeMarcus Cousins gets a deal on the defending champ. So at this point, I'm sure DeMarcus Cousins kind of understands that in order for him to contribute to a team, he needs to be a floor spacing big man. And I think he's starting to understand that. His shooting did improve with the Los Angeles Clippers when he came back. Maybe he just needed to knock some of the rust off. He's no longer that dominant player that he once was, but we're talking about a end of the bench type of player, and that's DeMarcus Cousins. I mean, I think it's a remarkable addition to a team that already has Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Giannis Giannis Antetokounmpo in a very strong culture who's a very underrated defender as well. His defense didn't go anywhere. Luckily for him, he's always been a really good defender. He's as good of a defender now as he's always been during his prime. At least that's what his defensive box plus minus is indicating to me. So regardless, you're still getting a great player and a great addition to the locker room and just a guy that everyone in the NBA is rooting for. So this is a huge W if you're a Milwaukee Bucks fan, and it's a huge W if you're a DeMarcus Cousins fan. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about all this, and make sure you subscribe and turn on our notifications to enter for a chance to win $500. Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike. I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.